Hello, everyone, and welcome to the official book launch for Healing is Required. My name is Anika Apple. I am the author of the book Healing is Required. I cannot wait to spend some time with you today to share some of the exciting parts of this book, to connect you to some of my amazing circle, all of who are incredible healers and transformational leaders, and to share a little bit about the journey to write this book, what it is, why it should be on your shelf, in your hand, helping you on your way to heal. And it is not by accident that today is 11/11, right? And I have a really good close nucleus of friends who have been collecting God's wisdom around these numbers. And there are the number 11 represents divinity existing in this moment. And that is not by accident, because what God is doing in the world is so big. We have an incredible moment in front of us. And what is required is that we do our work to heal. You might not have thought about the impact that you make on the world when you make a small choice to show up more authentically, more consistently, more in your power. I know it's hard sometimes to imagine that the small acts that we choose can create ripples, but indeed they do. And so today is about you being reminded of how incredibly powerful you are, being reminded about how intentional God was in their design for you, and leaning on the wisdom that God gave you even before you took your first breath, so that you can show up as the person who you are called to be. So I mentioned that my name is Anika Apple. I am the author of the book, but also a trusted advisor and spiritual strategist. And my work is to help leaders to regain their confidence in who God created them to be, reconnecting to their divine identity, to their truth, to their highest version of self, so that they can create and live a life that resembles that each and every day. That looks like transforming the way leaders are in their personal lives, as well as who they are when they show up in their workplace. It means helping people to heal so that we can take off the filters and truly see one another in the way that God sees us. It means bringing people together so that we can transform the experience that we have in the world. This is what we are intended to do. So today I have the honor of sharing this book with you, and I am so darn excited. Can I tell you, I'll be honest, I was up until 1 o'clock in the morning because I wanted to see it go live on Amazon, and it is there now. And I am so ecstatic. Of course, you can buy the website from our, you can buy the book from our website, but we have a really special opportunity for you. You can get the ebook version of Healing is Required right now on Amazon.com for your Kindle. So the ebook version is at $1.99, and that is intentional launch week pricing because we want to get it into as many hands as possible. As I share more with you as we go throughout the day around the book and the backdrop, you will know why you need to have this book and what it will mean for you and the people around you. It is so incredible. So I am super excited about being able to share with you the journey to create this book. And I definitely want you to, my hope is that you walk away from the experience that we have through the guests that I bring to the stage to share their healing journeys with you, that you gather a lot of beautiful wisdom about what is available to us when we do our healing work. We are going to, and I'm looking directly at you as I say this because I want it to penetrate for you. We are going to heal the world. We are going to heal the world. And we have to do that by committing to do our healing work inside of ourselves. So when we commit to show up in a way that resembles the divinity of who we are, we can begin to do the work that helps to lead others back to themselves as well. So today I will bring you so many of my dear friends who I mentioned earlier are healers. I call many of them light workers. They are the people who are truly transforming the world and through the work that they do and how they lead. And what I hope that you will glean from them today is also some of the healing practices that help them transform their own experiences. So let's talk a little bit about the book Healing is Required. So this beautiful book, this gift that I call it from God, is a divinely downloaded book. It is God's book. And I hope that I will have the level of consistency that I see in my mind as I deliver, messages about this book around the world, because it belongs to God. Last night we had a private launch party for the book, and I was sharing that one of the things that happened through this experience is that, I was sitting at the computer and God was downloading faster than I could even type. And I was like, slow down. I have to capture all of this to be able to ensure that I don't miss a word, that it is exactly the way that you were speaking it to me. And that is what you will find in the book. Of course, there are some anecdotes and things that I share as well. There's a lot of beautiful stories that God led me to share. As a matter of fact, every story that I share in the book from my own perspective are ones that God led me to share. And you might imagine that also means there's some things in the book that I was like, oh, I feel a little squirrely about adding that into the book. But this is what the intention was. And I feel honored to be the vessel that has brought this book into the world. What I know about the wisdom in its pages is that it is healing. I have watched it in my own life. I have watched it in the lives of people around me. And I know what God's promise was when God asked me to write this book. So if you should choose to take this on as a part of your healing journey, to allow it to call you forward to the truth of who you are, you will experience healing. And what I love about who we are is that we recognize when there's something really, really, really good. We might want to share, we might want to keep it to ourselves, but then we start sharing and we see the impact on what's happening to other people. And that is how we will do the work to heal the world. Now, for many of you joining us today or even listening on the replay, you know that you are called to be a generational change agent. You know that it is part of your work to break the cycles that have been in the generational patterns. This is a tool for you. For many of you watching, you might have a book club or be actively doing your healing work. This book will give you language that you can use to align yourself to the people who support you on the journey. It will provide you with a map or blueprint, the starting points for you to design how you select the people and practices that will help you on your healing path. And most importantly, what I love about this book is that it creates a clear, very clear directive from God about why we must do the healing work. I can tell you in my own experience that there are many times that I felt like healing was optional. Like, do I really need to do that right now, God? Like, or didn't I already do that thing? And like, why is it coming up again? And what you will find is that you will continue to have the same kind of patterns showing up in your life until you make the decision that you are going to do the work to heal. So this book is designed to help you navigate through that. We see this book in 3 parts. The opening really is understanding what healing is, because it's something that we don't often really think about in that way, right? You have a broken bone and you're like, okay, physically we need to heal it, but it is so much deeper than that. And you'll hear a lot from my guests today as we talk through these things, right? But there is a depth of what healing means to God. When you think about the way that the creator, the God, source, the divine, however you see it, established us, there was intention around how we would be connected and melded together. So understanding where that started is really important. And that's the beginning of the book. The middle of the book talks about who we are as community and how we get about doing the healing work. And then we close with bringing you back to center. which really is a call to action for you to return home to yourself. So we are going to get into some really great conversations today. Again, I thank you for joining us for our virtual book launch for the book Healing is Required. You can order Healing is Required, again, at Amazon.com, or you can order it at our website, which is healingisrequired.com. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the ebook is now available for $1.99, $2 to transform your life. It's pretty incredible. So I am honored to bring our first guest to the stage right on time at 11:11. And my sister, who I adopted, like I declared she was my mentor, and she didn't say no. So I'm so grateful. But Kylie Carr is the founder and CEO of the Asbury Group. And she is a healer, a light worker, a connector, a beautiful light child of God, and one of the most incredible transformational leaders that I have ever met. Her expertise is so deep. She leads with God's wisdom and moves in a way that transforms everyone who has the opportunity to experience her, whether she's speaking from the stage, through her podcast, or through the work that she does with her clients. I know firsthand because I have the blessing of being able to work with her and watch and have seen my own transformation and have watched the transformation of people who've been with her. And I have no doubt that you will experience some of that as we have this conversation. Kylie, welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, we can't hear you. Is it my audio again? Let's see. There you are.
Great. I changed my microphone. Glad that you hear me. Congratulations, Anika.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, it's so good to have you. So Kylie had let me rephrase this. Kylie said yes. When I asked her to do the foreword for this book, I had asked Kylie to be one of a very small group to read the book. Scott showed me who those people were intended to be. And I did not ask anyone else to do the foreword because I wanted Kylie. And I waited for her yes, which came pretty quickly. But it was really meant to be something that sat in her hands. I feel very blessed that you said yes, sis, to do the foreword. So I'd love for you to just share a little bit about your experience with the book. And then I have some great questions for you.
Yes. Well, it was my absolute honor and privilege to be asked to write the foreword. This is such an important book. And so, as you know, I have been sitting on my hands to write a book myself. So I appreciate you paving the way and inspiring me and also pushing me to put the pen to paper in honor of such an important book as Healing is Required. Reading the pages really, you can feel the resonance of the words in the book as you're reading them. You can feel the divinity in the words. You are such an open and powerful vessel for God to speak through you to us in a way that it really penetrates our souls. And that is what I read throughout. And what I really love about the book as well is the questions, the journal prompts that allow people to integrate and move through what's moving within them as they read the book. And I know that it will transform so many lives. And I'm so excited that you have birthed it to this world officially.
Me too. Thank you so much, sis. And I want to pick up right where you were talking about transformation. So in the work that you've designed at the Asbury Group, transformational leadership is at the center. Share a little bit about what that looks like in practice and maybe a little bit about how it came to be.
Yes. So the transformational leadership at the Asbury Group. Yeah. So, we just celebrated 11 years of work in this space. Yes, 11 years. And as we are, on this 11th day of the 11th month, in the 11th hour, at least Eastern time, 11 is a number as that's close to our hearts. It's a number of transformation. It's a number of inspiration, of spiritual enlightenment. And so as I reflect on the work that we've done in transformational leadership, it really centers around the individual being a whole person, being a human being. And in being a human being, it's not a human doer, it's a human being. And so what we do, the work we do at the Asbury Group, is really helping people get back to themselves, getting back to the core of who they have been designed to be, so that they can make an impact in this world, so they can fulfill their purposes in this world, and really make an impact that they've been created to be. Because we know that it's not about being having better leadership skills. It's really about how can you be a better person, a better human in your work,
Yes.
and how can that impact the people that you are leading, that you are serving, that you are contributing to.
I love that. And when you think about the leaders that we have had the opportunity to support, what are the ways that you've really seen their healing unfold as you have been doing work with them?
Mm. And I would say, as we've been doing work, because you've been such an integral part of the Asbury Group team, and what we get to do is to meet people where they are. Yes, we bring concepts to them that help them to learn and grow and expand and transform. And more than anything else, what I love is being a part of their journeys, seeing those aha moments, seeing those light bulb and light up moments where they're seeing themselves, where they're seeing. And one thing that I believe that, our team is exceptional at is, one, creating spaces where people feel safe to grow and
Yes.
to evolve and expand
Mhm.
and all of those things, but also that we can see the divinity in people. We can see the power within them. We can see, we act as a mirror for who they truly are. And there's just something really special about being around someone, being connected with someone who is, pouring into you, and they really truly can see you, and that, you feel
Yeah.
that to the depths of your core.
Yeah. And I feel like I see more places where this is happening because God clearly has been calling us and we are waking up.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm always blown away by the people that we have the opportunity to support who are like, I've never
Mhm.
felt this safe, to your point, to be who I am. Share a little bit about your story,
Yeah.
about how you got to be in this place. You honor God, and I've heard so many other people share the exact sentiment that I hold, in a way that is literally, it's what God has shown me the model of leadership is. And I mean that so sincerely. You ground who God is in the business, in the way that you treat people, in the way that you honor the clients, in the way that you show up. You listen to God's voice. I feel like I'm answering the question I gave you, but I want everyone to understand that it is a choice that I see you actively making every single day. And I know that it transforms leadership. I look at the growth in the business
Mhm.
as a clear reflection of that. And not just, in terms of the, expansion of clients and revenue and the team, which is growing in leaps and bounds, but truly in the impact. And the impact is so big when we walk into space and people are like, oh, you're the Asbury Group. So share a little bit
Mhm.
about your personal journey that has helped you to lead us in this way.
Yeah, I mean, I spent over 15, almost 20 years in corporate environments, had a great career, climbing the corporate ladder, and having big titles, and making an impact in my own way with my teams and in leadership, and in industries. And had a transition point about 12 years ago where I left that because God had ordained the path for me to reevaluate who I was being and what I was doing. So, with a myriad of life changes, including my mom passing away, me leaving my corporate job, and having this opportunity to start anew, God really showed me that my life, my career, my vocation was really in this next season or in that next season, 12 years ago, was really to listen to God's voice and to align my experiences, my gifts with that. And so it's been a walk, like I mentioned, we started the Asbury Group about 11 years ago. It took me a few months to decide what it would look like, and it has certainly been evolving since then. But more than anything else, I know that this business, this work is not mine, it's God's. And that my job is really to listen and thank God. I do, one of my greatest strengths that I've learned over time is that my connection to God and being able to hear God's voice and infusing that intuition into guidance and vision for the trajectory of the business. So anytime I veer away from that, anytime I stray from that, then it never works.
Yeah.
It never works. But when I lean into the guidance that God has, then we have transformed so many lives and many that we will never know because of the ripple effect of the work that we do.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I wish they could just like have the peak. And I feel like we've said this in our team so many times, just into what it looks like. But I'm telling you, I will sit with Kylie and be like, "Oh, I think I'm going to do." And she's like, like, you might want to go sit with God a minute on that. And what was coming up for me as I was listening to you was the word courage over and over and over again. And that's so important for all of us, whether we see ourselves officially in titles as leaders or whatever we might be doing in the world. It takes courage to do this healing work. Share a little bit about courage from your perspective, like why we're called to bring courage into this moment. And then I will ask you to share the healing practice for you that changed it all. So
courage, I think about the word, and I heard Brene Brown once talk about how the word courage really comes, the root of the word is really about heart and leading your full heart. And so that, like, being courageous, leading with our full heart, leading, making decisions that are hard when we know it's the right thing to do, even though it is hard, is so necessary, especially now at a moment in time when we are reevaluating what is right. We are reevaluating what is just. We are reevaluating what needs to be done in order for us all to flourish as human beings. And so we're seeing so many examples that are counter to what we know inside to be true and right? So we have to be courageous and stand for what we know is right, just, and true. And what we know is aligned with what God has told us in the word, in our bodies about what is right, just, and true. So it's it's hard. It's hard, especially because oftentimes it's counterculture. It is counterculture, but when we say yes to it, it always pays off. It always pays off. It always benefits the whole. So it is necessary. You were asking about the healing practice that changed it all for me. The healing practice that changed it all for me was meditation. And I have been actively, practicing meditation I would say for many, many years and consistently for the past decade, if not more. And for me, starting my day with a practice that includes meditation helps me to recenter. It has helped me to recalibrate my nervous system. From a leadership perspective, it has opened up my executive functioning capabilities, and from a spiritual perspective, it has allowed me to stay even more connected with my divine guidance. And so when I think about healing and the resonance that comes with operating in the love, peace, enlightenment, joy frequencies, that has healing properties on our bodies. And meditation for me allows me to reconnect with that more and more, and I'm so grateful for that practice in my life.
Yeah, I love that. It has absolutely been transformational for me as well. And I'm excited because one of the gifts that we have for everyone who joins virtual launch party is a guided meditation that God downloaded through me a couple of days ago. It was so beautiful. And the heart of it was really seeing ourselves walking and watching others become awake, like reconnecting with themselves in the moment as they were going on the journey. So deeply powerful. And so that is something Tasha will be dropping a link in the chat, and you can grab that link and we will send you out this guided meditation, along with some of the other tips that you hear throughout the day of how you can tap into the healing practices that have changed the people like Kylie in their journey. Kylie, I again am so grateful to you for writing the foreword for the book, for holding my hand, keeping me encouraged, cheering me on, reminding me. And one story I want to share really quickly before we transition. This is one of my favorite Kylie stories. Maybe not her favorite, but one of my favorites. There was a day when we were on the phone, and I had transitioned. I was starting to build my business, and we were talking about something complex that was happening in a group that I was a part of. And Kylie paused and said to me, if you're not able to access your full heart, you will not be able to fulfill your assignment. In later conversations, she's like, I don't even remember that, right? And I knew it was God because I knew the conversation that God and I had been having. And I just remember in like a very small feeling voice saying, I don't know how to do that. So when we talk about the courage, what Kylie was sharing with you, courage is required in order for us to do the healing work, to say yes to looking inside of ourselves, to allow whatever it is that we are being shown to come up so that we can then let it catch air and decide what to do with it. That's one of the simplest ways that we can describe what happens in your healing journey. It starts with a yes. And that courage actually resides on the inside of us. And every time we say yes, we become more courageous. I love, Kylie, that you were talking about courage in the heart space, because when I think about the book, it is the journey to truth, wisdom, and the heart of healing. That is what God gave us, right? And so this work is about connecting to your heart. And what you will find as you do your healing work is you will be able to see yourself and others in a way that just transforms what your experience is. I love that in our group, like we vibrate at a higher frequency because we're choosing yes all the time. And that allows us to see what's happening in the world, to recognize it. And instead of getting caught up in the swirl, to say, what is for me to do? How do I contribute to this? And then make decisions and choices that are helping to elevate us. So it's such a beautiful life and journey that we have. I am so grateful to do this walk with you. I'm grateful to work with you in the Asbury group, but most importantly, to have you as my sister, my friend, my mentor, and to experience your light and transformation. So, ladies and gentlemen, Kylie.
Likewise. Thank you, Anika. And I just wanted to say that I am so grateful to have you in my life. I have learned so much from you. There are few people that I know in this world who have the gifts that are at the level of yours. And so I am just so honored to have you in my life, and also excited that the world will get a chance to experience your light, your gifts, and your connection to God, because I know that because of that, that will bring them closer to why they are here. So
Yeah.
thank you, my sister. I love you, and congratulations.
I love you too. Thank you so much, Kylie. I so appreciate you. Thank you for being here. So this is just a taste of, what we have in store for you as we go through the rest of this morning. And I am so excited to bring my next guest up to the stage. This is none other than Coach Myra Capri, the founder and CEO of Capri Brand. She is a transformational life coach, a wellness coach, and really all of the words, we were just having this conversation a couple of days ago that are like the titles, they do not encapsulate all that she does, from facilitation to writing her own book to all of the ways that she shows up in the world as God's light. Myra is such a beautiful light inside and out, and another beautiful voice for God. Myra hears as well, and has been so integral in my healing journey. We met at a conference years ago, ironically, and then Kylie connected us.
Mhm.
And we have just like grown to be, the saying is thick as thieves, but we're not stealing anything except maybe people's hearts, right? Like we're
Love
bringing people back to God, right? But we've just been in lockstep as God has been taking us through this journey. So Myra, it is my honor to have you here with us today. Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure. First of all, you look amazing. Okay. So I just need to like throw that out there. You're radiating. It's beautiful. It is my pleasure to be here. So thank you for having me.
I'm so glad that you are. So I want to jump right in. I want. I thought our conversation could start with us talking about being in our divine identity. We have a lot of conversations about and we were talking with Kylie about courage, about the challenge, right, of us stepping into who we are being. I'd love for you to share a little bit about, your experience with saying yes to who God showed you that you were, and then perhaps how you are supporting others in doing the same.
Thank you, Anika. It's a beautiful question that I believe my life journey has helped me understand. And I would definitely say it's iterative. I am always still wrestling with identity and all of the things that sometimes the world can tell you you should be doing, how you need to show up. So I would definitely say it is a journey. And what I thought would be the process of stepping into my identity was taking more things on. But what I'm learning is stepping into my identity is a lot about shedding. It's a lot about what I have to let go, what I have to release to really show who I am, right? I think you and I talked about having a bust and how artists can see the vision before they actually start carving, and the beauty of the piece, the sculpture, is underneath all of the things that they had to get rid of to actually get to that beautiful artwork. And so I would say my journey is just that. It is one of shedding and releasing and continuously coming back to this place of who has God called me to be, and how does God see me? One of my prayers that I borrowed from a dear friend of ours, Dr. Amber Wright, is God, help me to see me as you see me.
Yes.
How can I see me as you see me? And that's a powerful prayer. So let me just warn y'all out there, if you pray the prayer,
Be ready.
be ready.
Be ready, because God
Be
will show
ready.
you.
Listen. And I think God just gets pleasure in it too. Like, oh, okay. Got you.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
a prayer that I am honored that God is answering in my life, and I'm seeing just the ways he, wants me to show up. And it truly is to answer the second part of your question of how this is showing up in the work that I do, this word alignment comes up quite often in my own journey, in coaching others. And it truly is this attunement in with yourself. We love the word authenticity. Like,
Yeah.
we
Yes.
love that word, right? Like, we've been using it a lot, but it really is being authentic, being in attunement and alignment with yourself. And another dear friend of ours, Leilani Manulu, taught me that the highest frequency that operates in the world is alignment. It's authenticity. It is, I am in alignment with who I say I am. That is how I'm showing up.
Mm.
And I think that is the gift of your identity. Like, who is God telling you you are? How are you walking in that? If they're one in the same, you are operating at the highest frequency. And we know when we are operating at the highest frequency, we become magnets.
Yeah.
I could go on and on. I'll pause
No,
there.
so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
One of the insets in the book is my sharing God show me me. So that
Mm,
became a constant prayer for me as I recognized that who I was showing up in the world was someone that I manufactured, right? It worked really well for me in, building my career and all of those things, but there were parts of me that were disconnected, right?
wow.
And that prayer, God show me me, did exactly what you talked about. Like, I thought I was ready when
Mm.
I said that, and I talk about this in the book, but I was
Ooh.
definitely not ready. And what I think is so beautiful about this is that we wrestle with our identity, right? We see that in so many of the biblical stories as well. Like, you wrestle with who God says you are,
Yeah.
and because who you are today feels so much more fitting than what God
Mm.
is saying to you.
Mm.
And I've watched myself with many examples of God saying, "This is who you are," and I've watched myself shrink back from that.
Mm.
I'd love for you to share if there are um, things that you've experienced or witnessed that could be helpful to our audience around, like, so what do you do when you are in the process of wrestling with what God has shown you and you're just maybe not sure that you're ready to step into that? How do you get past that?
Mm. Ah, that's such a great question. I I'm going to use a term that I use a lot, and then I'll explain what I mean by that. But it truly is being still.
Mm.
It's being still, and that looks different for different people. And what it means for me is quieting out the noise. And I think a lot of times what happens when there is some misalignment, right? That's what you're talking about. It's misalignment from what God shows you and what you might currently be experiencing, or what you can only see. As far as there's a misalignment, that misalignment is often tied to some type of noise or something that is not aligned with the vision. And so being still, I think, helps us hear clearly when it's noisy outside. And let me just tell you, and Kylie touched on a little bit of how noisy this world is right now.
So noisy.
It's super noisy. Like, just turn it down a little bit. It's loud. And being still for me looks like sitting in a quiet place, turning my phone off, turning off other distractions,
Mm.
whether it's opening my word, whether it's meditation, whether it's journaling. I have time to be with me. And
Mm.
when I tell you the clarity that comes from that, the things that I thought I should listen to that honestly was noise, it helps me even decipher, right? Because another distraction could be, I don't know what's real and what's not. I don't know
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
noise, right? And what's something that I should
yes.
actually tune into. When we're still, we can hear clearly. God shows us visions. That's how it shows up for me. Visions, a gentle, soft word. All of
Mm.
these things come from me slowing down and tuning into what I know is is a higher voice.
That is so powerful, Myra. And I hope that people really, really take a look at, if they struggle, wrestle with stillness, that is
Mhm.
information in itself. I remember early on with starting meditation practices, and I was like, why is my mind so busy? Right. And so
Mhm.
I would get frustrated. And what I didn't realize is that in and of itself was showing me how my mind is working. Like there's something clearly that needed to settle so that I could see. And one thing I would call out to us in this moment is that, we are in a time where algorithms are deciding what we see. They're influencing it. So,
Yeah.
I was sharing the other day on another platform, like we have to pay attention to the systems that we're tapping into. What are we choosing? Do we want the system of being alignment of the system that the creator created for us? Are we going to allow someone else to manufacture that for us? Because
Mhm.
they are not the same and they don't end up
Nope,
with the same outcomes.
you're right.
So,
Yeah.
I love one of the things that I have loved witnessing your journey is you have made the transition into your business and then also working with the Asbury Group is that you define wellness in a way that I feel like is so beautifully holistic. Would you share a little bit
Mhm.
about that?
Sure. So I talk about well-being, and again, it's been a journey, but I when I learned the term well-being, it helped me understand wellness so differently because I am being well, and it is a place of being and not doing. And this is from another different, like we have a community, y'all. Rediah Rhodes, who created the Evoke system or program, and being is instead of doing, we are human beings, right? And so it's not always the acts and the efforting, it is actually sitting with who you are. And so this term well-being, I like to call myself a well-being in leadership, in leadership coach, meaning I keep well-being at the forefront of leadership. And I want well-being to show up in all areas of your life so that you can lead well. Because I believe if you're not well, it's going to show up in everything that you do. It's going to show up in your leadership, whether you try to separate it or not. If something is not well in you, it's going to come out.
Mhm.
So I truly believe this well-being is really the foundation of how we show up.
I love that, Myra. And in the book, we share a lot of practices that people can take on that will help them to support who they are choosing to be. But you're right, it has to start with a place of us choosing
Mhm.
to be instead of being busy with the doing. Like my meditation example, that was because of all of the doing. That's the way that I was functioning. And for those of you who are like trying to decouple yourself with, what has been the rhythm of the world, who experience overwhelmed stress, I feel you. And it took a really long time to
Mm.
get to that reset.
Yeah.
It happened much more rapidly with practices and intentional decision making, but I could not understand why it took like why it was so difficult for me to unravel the busyness of my mind. So,
Mhm.
and we've got some people coming up as we continue on in our journey who will share some stories around that, I'm sure. But Myra, before you go, I know you talked about stillness. What
Mhm.
is your healing practice that changed everything? And if it is stillness, then share another one of your favorites.
Yes, it is stillness, so but there are different modalities that show up in my stillness, right? So even a walk in nature, and I've got a trail out behind my home, which I am so grateful for because I've started these morning walks, and I'll have like my cup of tea, I'll listen to a podcast or listen to something, and I'm out in nature. It's gotten cold now, y'all, so I don't know how it's gonna show up in these cold seasons, but being still could also be a morning walk.
Mhm.
So I want to emphasize that stillness is a mindset, right? And so stillness to me is cutting out the noise. And so my morning walk in nature, I'm outside, I'm smelling the smells, I'm seeing the trees and they're changing colors now. and I'm mindful of my steps and how I walk, that is stillness to me.
Mm.
So that's another way that I practice healing.
So good. It's so good. Myra, thank you so much for being here. I am so grateful for you. I'm grateful that we get to do this walk together.
Mhm.
And thank you for all of your encouragement during the process of bringing this book to life. So I appreciate you. I love you. My sister, Myra Capri.
I love you too. And let me just say, Anika, I am honored, and I say that and I don't take it lightly. I am truly, truly honored because I know I'm in the presence of greatness. Your calling is big, and your yes means so much to so many people. So thank you for your yes and who you are and how you are showing up in this world, sis. It is, as you say, remarkable. Love you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you so much. I'm so deeply grateful for you, Myra. So thank you all. I am going to see, it looks like we are, let me see if that helps our technical challenge. Hopefully you had the opportunity to see both me and Myra for this conversation. We are getting ready to host our next guest, and as they get on, I wanted to take a moment to share a little bit more about the book Healing is Required. So I mentioned earlier, for those of you on at the beginning of the broadcast, that this book was divinely downloaded, and it is all about what our healing journey is intended to be. The beauty of this book is that you can pick it up wherever you are in your moment and find what you need inside. So I mentioned that, that this book is divine, that it is God's book, and I truly mean that. As I was writing the book, I found that there were moments where I literally, and one of my friends was chuckling yesterday at the launch party, like, were you fact checking God? I absolutely was. Like, is that really real? Because there were things that flowed through me that I've never experienced, that I had never seen or did not know. And that is, I believe that's a really beautiful part of being a vessel of God, is that you create the space for God to move through you in the way that they intend, so that people can have what it is that that is intended. So, and I am so deeply grateful for the opportunity to bring this work into the world in this way. I want to read an excerpt for you. And this is about how health is related to how our healing is related to our health. A lot of times when we think about healing, we think very specifically about our physical selves. And in fact, our entire body, our self, which is comprised of the physical self, psychological, emotional, and spiritual self, all pieces are connected. And so our healing has to happen at all levels for it to really take root and for us to begin to see changes in our life. And so this is the excerpt. Care of our health or physical self is largely focused on caring for what is visible on the outside or properly diagnosed by a licensed physician. In general, people focus on what can be seen or known. This is often evidenced by treating a symptom without clarity around the underlying condition. A reactionary approach is also par for the course. To heal, proper connections must be made between what is seen and experienced and what is felt and exists below the surface. The physical body connects to all things. The connection between the other parts of self, emotional, mental, and spiritual, must be healthy to truly heal. So a lot of times we're just at the surface of things. And one example that I wanted to share with you is my own journey with eczema. So I had eczema as a child, and it was the gift that kept giving. It showed up, on my face, my arms, like my legs. It was everywhere. And what I did not understand over time, I learned to pay attention to the foods I ate, how I slept, water intake, what was moving through, my system, the lymphatic system. Like I began to start to understand how all things were connected. What I had not considered was the emotional root. I read a really great book that talked about, the ways that things were connected, and it helped me to begin to reflect on some things. In this version of my healing journey, and I mean by that the things that have been happening over the past few years, what I have really, really seen is that as I have healed and dealt with emotional trauma, that my eczema began to resolve itself. The other thing that I would tell you is that I prayed for the transformation of my healing to end having the repeated bouts of eczema. And what I have seen, and God responded very clearly, yes, I will and have healed your eczema. And so what I, thought or hoped in that moment is that instantaneously I would never see it again. And what I have found is that if you imagine a depiction of your skin, right? There are all of these different layers. And as you go through your healing work, each time you get to a different layer, whatever is there is coming to the surface. And so part of what I encourage you to hold for yourself as you think about your healing journey is that each time you heal something, you're doing the work that is going to enable you to feel more confident as you go to that next level of healing. But it doesn't mean that you won't ever have those things again until you get to the root. So because this is something that I dealt with since childhood, I've watched myself heal and then heal again and continue to heal until I'm at a point where I very rarely have flare-ups. And when I do, I'm not looking to treat the symptom. I recognize the things that are at the root. So I know how to identify what's been happening in my behaviors, my sleep, my clothing, like whatever the things are that bring that to the surface for me. I recognize and I can shift my behavior. So in this small example, you can see how all of these things are connected. As a young adult, I treated what was on the surface. Now that I know and understand healing better, I know to go to the root and to transform it in that way. So we have, let's see, our next guest. I don't see her here in the green room yet. So let us try and get her connected and on the line. And Tasha, if you can drop in the chat for us the link for our Healing is Required sign up. Thank you. I appreciate you. We also wanted to share with you that today the book went live. It is 11/11. So we are here and we are running our ebook version at $199 for our launch week, and would love for you to grab your ebook copy of Healing is Required. Read it, read a chapter, leave a review on Amazon. It makes a huge difference, and we really appreciate you. More than that, I would love for you to take this book, choose the place to start, and then share the impact of what's coming up for you. One thing that I know for sure is that we wrestle with the things that come up for us. Like we will wrestle with some of the things that you read. You heard Kylie mention earlier about the journal prompts. It's one of the things that I needed as I was going through writing the book. There were moments where I was like, okay, God, I need to step away because that was a lot. The words that flowed through me from God are very directive. And I would call them piercing. And it's important because we have to bring ourselves out of the fog that we have been walking in to experience truth. And so in those moments, like you might find yourself feeling confronted, and that's intentional. This is not the journey to the fun, surface level work, right? This is the journey to truth, wisdom, and the heart of healing. This is about you deciding that you want to do the big work that helps you to show up as who you were really intended to be. And there's nothing more powerful than that. So I hope that you will experience the book, and as you're going through it, that when you find yourself at moments that you are wrestling with it, you will do what I did. Sit with people who you know and trust. Ask for reflections with people. Ask people to read the excerpt with you and share what comes up for them, because we grow through making the decision to see ourselves, but also by opening ourselves up to have the experience of connecting with others. So I am so grateful. I'm still looking for our next special guest to jump on in here. But I'm going to move forward and bring my good brother to the stage. I am so honored that you would be here, Brother Lewis Burrell, who is an incredible transformational leader. I know him as a healer. And a phenomenal breathwork coach, but really what he does is help people navigate through stress and well-being. He has an incredible story, and I'd love for you, brother. First of all, thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much
for inviting me.
Oh, I'm so honored that you would come. He has an incredible story of how he came to do this work. I would love for you to start there and maybe share a little bit about Just Breathe Universe.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here. I have your book. Your book has been with me since first got the copy. And I want to just say that the journey for me started really with going through a very tumultuous time in my life when I just couldn't breathe. And when I say I couldn't breathe, I couldn't find that deep breath for myself as I was traveling and navigating around the world. I was a teacher for over 15 years. Had an opportunity to go and travel overseas to Abu Dhabi and Dubai. And I took that opportunity. That opportunity led me to then start traveling around the world after my contract ended independently. Made it to about 40 countries, moving around the world at light speed. And at 2017, I was going through a divorce. I had some interesting dynamics that were happening in my life. My world was starting to collapse as I knew it. And I left teaching, the profession that I had known, to just start traveling and start rediscovering myself again around the world. What I discovered was I had a lot of healing to do within myself, a lot of wounds. Some of the things that were resonating with me in your book were talking about the tapping back into our inner child again. There were things there that I discovered little along this journey that, but I noticed that, I just couldn't breathe. My breath, like really breathing into myself and my inner well-being was not there. And in 2017, I had something that appeared on my jaw that required surgery. And I needed to come home. I had this surgery done in 2017, and I was so ready to get back out into the world again. I asked the doctor once my healing started uh, that if I could get back to the world, and so and at the same time, I was so excited to get back out into the world. I got back out in 2018, but what I found was everything had changed for me. It was almost as if this calling on my life had changed, and I started learning how to do these personal practices of healing for myself. So the journey really started with me not being able to breathe and take those breaths for me, and wanting to find ways to refresh and reset. So as Myra was talking about stillness, I had to really get still within myself to really find out what it was that I needed. And then the real inner work began. I had a friend that came to visit me while I was living in Bali, Indonesia, and he was one of my good friends. And he and I had had many conversations over the years. But as he and I started talking and peeling back these layers, and I started revealing to him this was the first space that I really had been in the world that I really started learning how to breathe and really tap into my. We started having these transformative conversations, and that led him to come back home. Eventually, I came back home, and we created this nonprofit for other men to tap into their healing. And I'm wearing our shirt today. Yes, Ndugu is a Swahili word for brotherhood. We created this back in 2019. 501c3. We're still operating and creating safe spaces for men to breathe, to share their stories, to have those emotional resets, to be vulnerable with one another. And it's grown into a movement. And that also led me to going back to school and doing some more work on how I can bring these other healing modalities to these men. So that's where Just Breathe Universe came in, and it's been a labor of love in community and a lot of work. Yes, and I'm happy to be here. This is I like to say that we serve well differently because, as you know, men need different types of healing, and especially our men, Black men. And I'm excited about doing this work that we do now on men and healing them. So thank you. This book is amazing. I've been carrying it with me. So, but thank
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. And it was really important to me to have you here for many reasons, because you are a trusted friend. I feel like I've known you for like decades already. There's something that always says to me, like, no, y'all know each other. Like you do know each other, right?
Yeah.
Brother Lou and I connected. We were speaking on a panel together, and I am very used to coming into the room, walking the room, setting the energy, praying, like clearing, like making sure the space is ready. I get there and Brother Lou has this, I walk in and I exhaled. And I was like, oh. And I was like, wait, well, let me just wait. There's nothing for me to do here. And I love that afterwards, like we were witnessing each other. I was watching you and you said to me, you saw, I was with my son, and you saw us sitting there and just like allowing ourselves to just receive what you had placed in the energy and space. And that was such an incredible experience, and absolutely just cemented our connection. So I'm grateful for you. Like when Brother Lou talks about this work, like we talk about our work as like the work we do in the world, the big W work, like the work that has meaning beyond meaning, but it's actually who you are. I have to be in a moment of stress and be like, I can hear Brother Lou saying, just breathe.
Indeed.
Just breathe. I wanted to talk about Ndugu. We had the opportunity, I was honored to support you in a brunch a couple months ago. And I have shared many times with people who ask me how the brunch was. I'm like, it was amazing. But the moment for me that was everything, I feel like I'll remember for the rest of my life, was this particular song, your Breath Chant song came on. And instantly, every man in the room stopped and began breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And something, it was emotional. It's hard for me to put in words how I felt in that moment. Perhaps because I am often surrounded by women who I know are doing this healing work.
Yes.
But to see it, to feel it, I would love for you to talk a little bit more about what kind of transformation that's creating in the men who are part of your community, and perhaps even how, collectively we can wrap our arms around you and our brothers.
Absolutely. Thank you for that question, and thank you for reminding me, because our connection in the beginning was, in a safe space. We're doing this thing together, and then I invite you to do this brunch with me. You came in with your beautiful gifts of narrating that whole experience, and that breath chant has been a big part of our group, Undugu. The men, they're very familiar with it now, and I've been cultivating this breathing every session that we do, since coming back to Atlanta again. And I think that that breathing chant is really, you hear the deepest breath and the deepest reset in the room when those men start breathing. They know the song, they know how to attune to my frequency, they know the breathing pattern. It's amazing to hear Black men breathing inside, Black and brown men breathing inside of this space together and being unified as a collective. What it's meant for me is that, like, we have to find different ways. I always say this with Just Breathe. It's wellness served different. Wellness served differently in the way in which we can receive it. So through rhythm, we can tap into that sacred rest. I give them those sounds and those frequencies so they can tap into that rest for themselves. It's work of heart, and it's been something to see them evolve into, because at first there was a little bit of hesitation and reluctance to do it for ourselves. But I always remind them, like, our presence and us being present for ourselves is a gift. So tap into it, right? Tap into your own wellness. Find those spaces where you can breathe, whether it's 2 minutes or 3 minutes. And the chant is very helpful for them. And your second part of the question, can you remind me again? I want to, yeah.
Just what have you seen in their transformation if you've supported building this community?
A lot within their transformation. I've had men come up to me literally and say, Brother Lou, I thought about you today. I was in traffic, or I was getting ready to, react inside of an argument, or in my workspace. I just needed a space to breathe. It's really slowing down and pausing enough before we begin that impulsivity, that reaction to something. And that was beautiful to see.
Myself there. I think that the power of community is something that not think.
Something.
Oh.
Yeah, something cut me off. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
I'll try to. It may be on my end.
It's probably my end. Can you all hear me? Tasha, let me know if you guys can still hear me. Okay, good. Can you hear me now, Brother Lou?
Yeah, I lost audio for whatever reason. You can hear me though.
Yes, yeah, we hear you.
I thank you so much. I appreciate you. I can try to tap back in again.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I can. Let me see.
Okay, let's see if I remove and bring Brother Lou back. While we wait to see if we can sort the audio challenge here, I would just say to you that, community is such an incredible part of how we do this healing work. There is an entire section that we have devoted to. See here. Oh, you're fine. No problem. There's an entire section that we've devoted in the book that is about understanding how we coexist together. And what I know to be true is that the healing journey can feel very lonely, right? Like you heard Brother Lou's story, like you're going through so many different experiences, reconnecting to yourself. And a lot of times you don't have the words, you might not know who you can trust with those things. My, default is always to say, okay, God, like, who's the person that can support me in this space? Like, and sometimes you are meant to just be separated, like Myra talked about earlier, to be with yourself. But community is so incredibly important, and our seeing each other as we heal matters, because when we see someone do something, right, we know it's possible.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was going to share this other piece with you that your chapter 6 that you gave me when you handed me this book. And I appreciate all of the chapters. Chapter 6, where it's talking about we are one. Yeah. I think through Undugu, we get to see the power of that collective healing. And it's done for one individual working on themselves, how it gets reflected to this collective we. And I think the word that we often use inside of our circle is Ubuntu. who I am because of who we are, right?
Mhm.
Reflection of us, inside of that circle. It's like one man's story is another man's story, another person's journey, even you and I reflecting these things back to one another. So I appreciate you coming in, and I thank you so much for being who you are, and the light that you are, and providing us this beautiful gift. Uh, Again, it's a wonderful treat, and I thank you for sharing yourself so vulnerably with us. And thank you.
Thank you. And I feel the same. I'm so grateful for you and the work that you've done. Before you go, I know we've obviously talked a lot about breath work and the power of that. That may be your healing practice that changed everything. But is there another healing practice that you would like to share with everyone?
Absolutely. One of the, you know, healing practices that I can say has been very helpful, and you allude to it after every chapter, is journaling. Journaling has been a big thing for me. I echo Myra's getting out into nature and taking those walks, but I love to take a journal with me sometimes and
Yeah.
just what my thoughts are and my feelings are. That's been very helpful along with healing.
Awesome. I love that. And I can say firsthand, I've seen you with your journaling, with your notes and capture, and there's such beauty in the practice. I feel like because it brings your awareness and expectation. Like I know that there's going to be something that happens as I go throughout this day that I want to remember, that I want to capture, that I want to honor, that I want to give gratitude for. And I believe it is such a transformational practice. So, Brother Lou, thank you, thank you, thank you. I so appreciate you. I'm so grateful for you. Blessed to do this walk and journey with you. And thank you. Big, big love and hugs to all of the men of Indugu. I am so Everyone that I have met is just simply incredible and a testament to what you all have created. And I cannot wait to see it continue to expand and touch men all over the world so that they can heal in the way that is intended and open for them. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right. So, what a great experience we are having today as we celebrate the book Healing is Required. And next, I'm going to bring up a very, very special guest. They're all special because I love them all. But I want to bring to you this beautiful, incredible woman who I have the honor of calling my mom, Deanna Johnson, who is a nurse psychotherapist, a holistic healer. I call her a modern day shaman because that is what I see in her. She knows every remedy, tincture. Maybe I shouldn't say that all out loud, but like the wealth and depth of knowledge that she has, she is truly a deep well. And what I love is everything about her. The way that she allows God to show up in the work that she does with her clients. She has been practicing for years. And see, if I tell you how long, then you'll know how old I am. So it's like one of those things. But the things that she has done to transform the lives of her clients, I can only imagine mirror the experience that I and so many of my friends have had with her. Everybody that I know calls her mommy because she is just so incredible in terms of creating spaces of safety, helping people reflect who they are, asking really good penetrating questions, and listening to the voice of God as she moves through. So, Mom, welcome. I'm so grateful that you are here.
I'm grateful that I'm here too, and I am so grateful that you are here. I'm grateful that you're my daughter, that I had the privilege of being with you from the time you took your first breath. But I'm so grateful for the world that you're in it. And I'm going to try to do my little part here without crying because, ay, 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 the world is so in need of healing, and your book could not have been delivered at all of the times since our existence I know are important. But here we are today, and I'm so glad that your book is here.
Thank you. So, for those of you who grab the book and read through it, you can thank Mom, because she would not. Between her and God, it was like one on the right, one on the left. Keep writing, keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. There was a moment many moments, where God was doing some really miraculous things through your life, and I had the opportunity to be there with you. And it is not lost on me that in moments where it would be reasonable, accepted, and expected for you to say, no, I just need you, my child, to be at my side, you were reminding me to continue to do the work, which feels a lot like how you have lived your life. And I'm grateful for that. So I'm thankful that you did not let me lose focus on the importance of delivering this book into the world, and that through that, God showed me so many pieces of healing for the two of us. I got to witness some really beautiful miracles of God happening in your life, and I'm grateful. And of course, there are some beautiful pieces and anecdotes that I include in the book about some things that you have shared with me. So you are one of the people to have, well, you had actually the earliest read. You're the only person who got to see it coming to life as I was writing. I'd love for you to share just a little bit of how you felt, what you thought, anything you'd like to share about the evolution of the book.
It's hard for me. I'm not a succinct person. I am quite loquacious. I'm a deeply feeling person, so I have so many memories. I just remember being blown away when you first read some. We read everything I think that you had written up until that point, and I just couldn't understand how you knew information from so many different fields of study. And that's when I asked you the question, like, when did you study all these different things? I'm not aware that you studied um, all the different things that went into the creation of the book. And that's when you told me that you were merely the scribe, that it's God's book that's being downloaded into you. And I've always believed in God since I was a little girl. But to you talk about wanting to see the signs and wonders, you are one of those that God has created, Anika.
Thank you. As are you. You have been committed to helping people heal for as long as you probably have been breathing. If you would share a little bit about what that means to you. How do you know what people need? And any of the pieces that can help people understand the expansiveness of the way God moves.
I guess it's sort of like God downloading information into you. Um, all I can say is that from the time I was a little girl, life seemed really simple. I Sunshine, I was happy. Rainy, I was happy. Although sometimes not as happy because I do love being outside and listening to Myra talk about living near a place where she can have peaceful walks to start her morning. Um, the same is true for me. But I just want to talk, I think, focus on empathy.
Hmm.
And I think I'm still really understanding and accepting how it is that there seems to be so little empathy
Yeah.
in our world. And I was asking someone not too long ago, we were watching something on TV that was really painful in parts to watch. And afterwards, I was asking the other person if they allowed themselves to experience for the character who was going through such a painful time. Did you allow yourself to feel that? And she said, nope. And it kind of caught me off guard, but it got me thinking, and I've not stopped thinking about it, that we have to be willing to experience discomfort. If you're sitting someplace relaxed and
Yes.
all is right in your world, what would make you willing to experience an alteration in that state of bliss that you're in? You'd have to be willing. And sometimes we only become willing when something disrupts our peace and we can't get rid of it. Then we have no choice but to experience it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it feels easy for me to, because I am willing to experience all the things that there are to experience in this life, all the different range of emotions. And I think I'd be missing some opportunities as a human being if I did not allow myself to be with the different types of emotions, all the different ones that exist.
Yeah. It's you are spot on. One of the things that God said to me early on, and we talked last night on the launch party about identity, was that my work was to help people see themselves and each other. And what I understand about that is it is the expansion of empathy that we have that really comes from the grace that we give ourselves. Like when we can love ourselves enough to look at what we would call like the dark places or the things that have been less desirable, when we can accept all of who we are, we begin to lessen the kind of judgment that we levy with other people. We begin to have more empathy and understanding for them. And I believe you hit the nail on the head of why it's so important for us to do this healing work now. Because in order for us to ever create the kind of world that we desire to have, and I think that at our higher levels, we all truly want the same thing. We are just in this human experience, what I would call like the matrix, and where some people are having really good successes, some people aren't, and so they're experiencing that version of whatever it is, and that the motivation is absent to change, because change is hard. But I believe that with the blueprint that God has given us in the book, that it brings us back to the truth, which is we can heal. We can heal with God's help, and we are fully equipped to do our healing. And once we choose to do that work, things open up, and we will be able to create the kind of connectivity that we desire to experience in the world.
And you just reminded me of something, a word that just stays with me because I heard you say it to me a number of times over last year. And the word is grace, giving people more grace. As empathic as I know that I am and can be, uh, and choose to be most times. There are those times when I don't want to be, and and in those moments or having those moments helps me to not just know intellectually, but to know with my whole self, my whole heart, um, how it is that all of us have times when we're just not willing to go to the painful place. We want to stay in the sun a bit longer.
Yeah.
And I also often can just hear you speaking about asking God to show you you. And I'm grateful because you have been someone who's helped me see me at times when I really need to see me and I'm not seeing me. So thank you for that.
Well, and I thank you for that, because I'm smiling because all of the people watching the live stream, people in the green room, they know you, but outside of that, like they're getting to see like this is the foundation. Can you imagine what it's like when you have a relationship with, with someone who encourages you to use your voice, to see yourself, to be your best. And I recognize that we don't all have that same grounding. So my mom used to tell me when I was younger, just make sure you get a good job with good insurance because you're going to need it. And this is from someone who, as you can tell, is brilliant and who is a therapist, right? Who understands people. Understanding people is her work. It is her gift. And still, she was like, because I may not get it all right, right? But when we're honest, that we are just going through this experience, doing the best we can, learning to be who we are, we create space to honor that other people are doing the same. You did that for me throughout my childhood, throughout my adulthood. You helped me to do that with my children, and I am ever grateful for the example of you. I always tell my mom that God knew exactly what they were doing when they gave me my parents, and I am so grateful. I love you so deeply. I love Dad so deeply. I'm so thankful for all of who you are and the gift that you are to this world. So, Mom, thank you. Before you go, I'd love for you to just share what is one of your healing practices that changed everything for you.
The one that keeps coming to my mind ever since you asked me that question is something that I read about in a book that a naturopath gave me many, many years ago. And the little book is called Ancient Secrets of the Fountain of Youth. And in it, there's this, I don't even want to call it an exercise. It's a form of meditation for me. It's called the Tibetan Five Rites. And I won't go into the details of how to do it, but it's rather straightforward. Some of the physical postures I could not do initially. And when I think back about it, I giggled at myself then and I giggled now. But the only thing that's really required isn't that you do a certain number of repetitions, but that you are consistent with your practice, that you don't miss a day. You begin with just 3 reps of each of the 5 movements once a day, and you work your way up to 20. But if you never, or 21, if you never get there, or even if you've arrived at the maximum number of reps, any day that for whatever reason you don't want to do that many, you can just drop back to 3. Lost, but it's consistency, and it always reminds me of my relationship with the Creator. It just needs, it's constant consistency.
Consistency.
Yeah.
So beautiful. And yes, I've witnessed my mom doing the 5 rites. She taught me. And I know the impact that it has had. And the underscore of consistency is something that's so important as you go through your healing journey. So, Mom, thank you for being the consistent support and love that I've needed throughout my life. I'm so grateful to share this really precious moment with you. And I thank you for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, Deanna Johnson, my mom, thank you so much.
Thank you, Anika, and thank God for you.
And I thank God for you. Whew. Oh my gosh. So we made it somehow without the tears flowing, because I didn't know. But I'm so grateful you had the opportunity to hear and meet my mom. She is so incredible. And when I think of incredible, I can't wait to bring the next guest to the stage. I have the honor of bringing my good friend, one of my closest friends, my prayer sister, and soror, and there's just so many things spiritually I could say about the woman that you are about to meet. But it is my honor to bring to the stage now Dr. Sharon Carrion, who is lovingly called Dr. C. She is the founder, the CEO and president of Distinct Excellence, the founder of the International Marketplace Mavens Movement, among so many other things. She is a ministry leader. We won't talk about what y'all will be seeing, whenever it's time. But I seen what I saw, and I know what I know. But when I tell you the power that God has placed on the inside of her, the vision, the power, the strategic wisdom, it is so incredible. And what I love about you, there's so many things, but that God gave us the gift of being able to see each other before we could see ourselves. And I have had the honor of watching you in your healing journey, as I know you have held my hand and rubbed my back and prayed me through mine. And so it's my honor to have you here today. And I would love to just open it up for you to share a little bit about what healing has meant for you in your life. And then I'd love to talk a little bit more about how we build communities to help people heal.
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, guys, I am one of those people that was my mommy too, that y'all just met. That was my mommy as well. It is an honor and a privilege to be here to talk about something that is so near and dear to my heart, and what healing has meant to me. And it's funny because healing has been a part of my life, all my life, but for other people. I have always been that person who is the go-to person to talk to, the go-to person for wisdom, the go-to person for instruction. And then all of a sudden, a whirlwind hit, and God said, it's time for your healing. And I'm like, what? What do I need to be healed from? You know how we do, especially if we're givers. And we love, and I'm just the type of person by nature, I love to see growth and development in others. And I always found it an honor and a privilege that God would use me as a vessel to bring that to other people. But then it was my turn. And so in my healing journey that God has had me on, and I realize now that I've truly been on a major healing journey now for the last 15 years. But it really didn't hit me until, like most of us, the pandemic hit, and then you start really thinking about life and purpose and things of that nature. And I would say healing to me really is grace. And when I heard mommy use the word, and it is a word that God has been dealing with me about for the last few years, I tell people all the time, grace is my favorite word. But I had to learn grace for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to also learn what God's grace means for me. And I'm a type of person, I'm a high achiever. I got all these letters behind my name. And God said to me one day, you don't have to perform for me in order for me to do what I need to do in you. And that is really, truly, I think, for me, the turning point of my healing. Because again, I've healed from childhood trauma. I've been in therapy for over 15, 20 years. So I did all of this work. And then one day when God said to me, you can't truly heal until you realize that you don't have to perform for me to do what I want to do for you. That right there, and I am still on that healing journey because all my life I was the high achiever. I got good grades. I knew how to talk. I knew how to negotiate, all of these things. And then for God to say to me, it's great, you can do all of those things, but I'm not even concerned about them. I don't want any of that. I just want you. And so healing to me has really, truly been pulling back the layers of my need for validation, my need to be seen, my need to be needed, my need to be in codependent relationships with people, to now saying, I can just be.
Yeah.
And it's good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. It's incredible, right? And I feel like we have been conditioned to create these versions of ourselves, and they're so strong and so well protected that we can't even imagine that what God is showing us would even be the life that we choose. Yet when we surrender, like I always say, when I let go, then all of a sudden I'm experiencing life unimaginable because I let go of things that were holding me still. I let go of the visions. I remember being I like you, as you know, have been in therapy for quite a bit. And I remember saying to it being in session with my therapist, we were going through EMDR, which is one of the things I talk about in the book. And she said to me, who told you you had to have the answers? And we were going through this process and I was like, well, I need to know. And she said, who said that? And I was like, wait, what do you mean? Who said that? Everybody said that. Everybody called me for the answers. Like, isn't that what they expect, what I expect, what God expects, what my parents expect, what my kids expect? And she was like, I want you to pause for a moment and take a deep breath, put your hand on your belly, and now, and think to yourself, who told you that? And I was like, well, heck, nobody told me that. I created that for myself. I've been putting all this pressure on myself to be the one with the answers. By the way, and the women you see on the screen right now, we hear from God. So like really, we don't really have to do anything other than just say, okay, God, what's next? And while that sounds easy, one of the most complicated things that we've had to learn how to do, right? Talk a little bit about that, because there is no one that I have met who has the diligence of doing what God says to do, even when it's incredibly, I would say, even when you feel like it's humanly impossible. I've watched you do that over and over again. Share a little bit about that.
Well, I think with growing up the way that I did with a single parent, my mom dealing with what she's dealt with domestic abuse and things of that nature, I saw a lot. And one of the survival tactics that I had implemented in my life without even knowing is the ability to not need anyone. I didn't want anybody to let me down. I didn't want to look for someone and they didn't show up. And that also gave me a need and dependence on God, which was definitely necessary for me. And so, hearing his voice, I've heard his voice all my life at a very young age. And so with that, I just always had a dependence on God that he'll never fail me. And what he says, even when I don't agree or understand, I know it's best for me because he has a track record. Yeah. And so with that, I just lean in. Do I always agree? No, because there are some things God has required me to do. And I'll be like, I don't know why you want me to do that, because I don't want to do that. I'm not interested. I don't like them. I don't want to be bothered. But after the experience, after the belly experience, as I call it, I then fall in line because I do understand that his thoughts are not my thoughts and his ways are not my ways. And it has never failed me. And so with that, I have just gained a dependence on God. Like if I don't hear him give me an instruction, I panic because I'm like, oh, I'm not doing anything because I don't know what to do, which is great. Yeah. But what I will say is it then got me to a point where when God wanted to use people for me, that I wouldn't hear them because it's just me and God. It's just me and God. And I hear people talk about that all the time, but we know God gives us people. He gives us community. He gives us fellowship to birth us, to grow us, to expand us, because that's really, truly what kingdom is about. It's about fellowship. And so I had this dependence that I still have, but now I also understand and know too that God uses people for us. And so in that, I'm just grateful that, because I was using it as a wall, as a shield. Nobody can't get here. No one can get there. And God said to me, I can't do anything in the earth without a body. And so if I want to do something for you, I have to use someone. And you won't give them space to be used. So now you are blocking someone else's blessing, blocking your blessing, because you're telling people you're dependent on me. And that is not how I operate.
It's so true. And I had a healing experience over the weekend, and it was so beautiful. And the ministry leader that was taking us through was centering in on asking me questions. And the thing that came up for me was a continued discomfort with asking for help. And she basically was like, like you're robbing the people around you who love you, who see you, who love you, who want you to win, from the opportunity to be in community, true community with you, because you're not allowing them to see this part of yourself. And I sat yesterday in my prayer time and I worked through the block. And when I tell you that, just like that, I picked up the phone and started reaching out to people. It was so clear. And I think sometimes we don't recognize that because there are levels to this healing journey, we might heal a portion of a thing, but there's still more to do, right? And so to your point, you've done all this healing work and now God is trying to use people to come and connect. And you're like, look, I just got to a place where I'm good. I hear you, I'm moving, I'm doing, but like, no, I don't need all of that. And I watched, I'm going to call it the softening of you happen as you allowed God to show you people's hearts for you who truly wanted to serve him and be a blessing to you. And I feel like it was pivotal from my perspective. Share a little bit more about what it felt like to open yourself up in that way.
Well, it was definitely pivotal because what God is requiring me to do in the earth, I can't do it without people. I'm not a lone ranger. I'm not all knowing. I'm not all wise. And God uses teams of people to get the work done. He used the 12 disciples. He used Paul and Barnabas. He uses teams of people to get things done. And so that softening came. And I remember and I tell people, because people keep talking about this soft life thing. And I remember one day God said to me, if you truly submit to me, not that I didn't obey him and all the other stuff, because I don't have that issue. It was more about trusting what he was bringing to me. That is only when I could truly live a soft life. And I was like, but no, because the internet says, and I have a husband, I have all of these things that the internet says brings you a soft life. And God said to me, what makes it soft is you never have to worry. There's not a care in the world. And that you truly trust my path and my direction for you. And with that, and again, it's multi-layered. I haven't arrived. Every time he shows me something different, I'm like, wow, I didn't see it from that perspective. But just the things that he's had me implement into my life that has given me a sense of safety. Because that's truly the basis of living a soft life and having that softness is understanding and knowing that you are safe. And my safety, because I thought my safety was in my job, my safety was in, the things. And truly my safety now I know is all in God. And so with that, I can release the tension, the blockages, the barriers, and now really hear God for who he sends to me. And I know the motive, I know the heart. And what I had to embrace is God will give people perspective about me that I may not even never share. Because I use that again as a barrier of you're only going to know but what I tell you. And so the people that God has placed in my life, they had to be vessels that can hear him for themselves, because then they can really, truly partner with me and what God is doing, not just in my life, but in their lives and the lives of the people that we are assigned to heal. Because again, healing, one of the things I've learned is healing can't happen in isolation. I thought it could. I thought if I hid enough and I cried enough in my closet and all of these things that I would walk out and be healed. But true healing doesn't happen until you're tested in the very areas that try to break you.
Yes.
And what my perspective has changed is that even those areas, I look back now, I realize nothing was never meant to break me. It actually built me.
100%.
And so now I'm relatable. Now I have the grace. I'm exercising empathy because I understand and know that God can use anything to bring us to a point where not just our lives heal other people, but our connections. Because that is really, truly, heart to heart, is what truly heals us.
It's so true. It's so true. And you said a couple of things I want to double down on. One is that, as we go forward, we are in a really tumultuous time in the world. We know that. For a long time, I've been saying, right, like we're going to see businesses and the things that we depended on, the systems that we have believed in and put, thought were safe, we're going to see those things dismantled, and it's happening all around us. Mm-hmm. And in order to lead through this, you have to be someone who is centered in knowing who you are and really bringing the foundation of God into what you built. Because that will be the kind of foundation that lasts after all of the things that are happening and will continue to happen as we go through the journey. Like the earth is healing, the systems are healing, community is healing, and we are healing as individuals. The second piece is that you cannot heal by yourself. And what I would say to that is, what has been helpful for me, and this is something that I discuss in the book, is recognizing that the person came to share a lesson for you. We do not always, and I learned a lot of this through our journey as a part of the Mavens with you as the founder and leader, that you don't know what someone else's assignment is. And I can remember us having some political conversations, right? And you were like, I know what God showed me. And I accept what God showed me, whether it is what I want or not. And as I was sitting with God, and I am also aware of what God said to me. And part of what I learned through that particular moment was God saying, like, what you see is just a portion of what truly is. And a lot of times when we're interacting with people, we see a portion of what is happening. And often when it's because it's part of our healing, it's touching a part of us that we do not want to be touched, right? Yeah. But then who else could do that? Who else could help you see yourself that way? Who else could provide the perfect, set of circumstances for you to feel the way that you feel so that you can then see yourself? One of the things I often say in the Healing Crusade, which is the healing community that I lead, is that we should learn to have gratitude for the people that have brought, that God has used and that have brought these different situations into our life where we could truly see ourselves. We may not feel like when we're going through it, and that's okay. But on the other side of it, to recognize, like, wow, if you were not honoring what God asked you to help me see about myself, I would not be where I am today. Mm-hmm. And I think that is so powerful. Before you go, Dr. C, I would love it if you would share, like, what is your healing practice that changed everything for you?
It's something so simple. When I heard Mommy talk about her, I was like, oh my goodness. And yeah, I could say journaling and everything, but one of the major key points that I have learned is to sit still. Mm-hmm. Because I'm a busybody. I'm a delivered busybody, meaning I got to be doing something. I got to be doing this. If I'm not, I'm wasting time. I got to be strategizing. I got to do this. I got to do that. And all of a sudden, God said, no, I don't want you to do anything. I want you to sit and I want you to rest. And I was like, rest? What do you mean? I got sleep last night. And he's like, no, I need you to rest. And so that is, and until this day, I don't even think there's ever going to be anything else, not unless, of course, I know the Lord takes us different levels, but me learning to sit and rest has been major for me. Mm-hmm. To the point where I went through seasons of guilt, like, I haven't done anything in 3 weeks. Like, what is going on? Am I lazy? Am I falling off? What happened? And all of these things. But now I enjoy peace.
Yeah.
I enjoy not having to think
Yeah.
and figure it out and put it together. Because again, all of my worth was in me performing, showing up, doing something. And so, in order for me to really truly heal, God has required me to rest in Him and allow Him to do all of that performative stuff. And I just show up.
Yeah.
So even like today, even with all of the things I've been blessed to do, even the stages that I've mounted, my mindset, it would take me 2, 3, 4 weeks. You know, we would do this. Oh, let me put together this presentation and let me make sure it's polished and all of these other things. Now it's okay, God, this is what I'm doing. I guess you're gonna speak. What should I wear? And that is how I am focused on living my life. And is it easy? No, it's not easy because I'm going against something that I've done all my life. I've performed, I've shown up, shown how smart I am and how intelligent I am. And you can't do this like I can. And now God is saying it's not even about you. It's not even about you. And I don't even want them to see you.
That part. That part. That part.
I want them to see me.
That part.
You gotta humble
Yeah.
yourself so they can see me. But it has taken so much pressure off of me. It's taken pressure off of me in my family and with my children, with my husband. It has taken so much pressure off of me. So now I'm like, oh, I don't know the answer. I gotta ask God. Before I'd be like, no, I need to figure it out because who else is gonna figure it out? Now I'm like, I don't know. You let me know if you get something and then we can discuss. So that has been the healing practice that I am telling you, especially as a woman of color, especially as a woman who has it all, because I do. I have it all because my father owns it now, versus I have it all because I've worked so hard. I don't work. I don't hustle. I don't do any of those things. I just rest. Yes. And again, I'm learning.
Yes. Yes.
It's not a destination.
That's right.
It is a process. But that is the major part of my healing. And I can't wait to get my copy of the book because I saw people flashing their copies. I did pre-order, guys, or whatever, but I want it to be I think for me, and I'm going to end with this, I want it to deliberately go into Healing is Required as a person, a partner who is on this healing journey and being able to see myself from a different lens. Because again, I've had levels of healing, but I believe that this book is going to catapult me to the next level of healing for me. So then me as a person that God has also called to heal and to bring light, it'll elevate my thinking and my perspective and how I am to show up. And so I'm really excited about the book. I'm excited about getting my copy. I'm excited about writing my review and journaling and doing all of those things because again, growth is where we are. And so I'm just really excited about the opportunity to read God's masterpiece.
Thank you so much, Dr. C. It's an honor to have you. I appreciate you. And yes, so I am so grateful. You said so many things and I'm holding myself because I know my next guest is waiting to pop up here, but I appreciate you and I love you. Thank you so much for being here with me on this special day.
Thank you.
And as you heard Dr. C talking about the elevation, one of the things I wanted to just call out is that this book is for those who are healers. We often put ourselves to the back because we are so focused on taking care of everyone else. And I am so clear that there is an intention from God for us to refill ourselves. You cannot be a deep well and not have any water. And so God needs to be able to pour into you. And when I think about how we, see ourselves differently. A lot of what Dr. C talked about, this evolution of healing, I think about the way that we begin to see ourselves as God sees us. And that brings a word to mind for me that is at the center of the work that my next guest is doing. I bring to the stage now Dr. Naima Alatunji, and we call her Dr. Naima, but she is a reinvention coach and the founder and CEO of Every Damn Thing, which is a story in and of itself. And I'm so grateful to have you here, Dr. Naima, to spend a little bit of time talking about Healing is Required, and to really talk about like the work to connect to identity and reinvention. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. And I want to turn it over to you.
The honor is all mine, sitting and listening to your last couple of guests. And Mom is so exciting because the time is here. And I got to tell you, after the virtual opening launch last night, like I dreamt about your book. I dreamt about how far-reaching that your message, God's message, is really truly going to touch, and that is so exciting to me. And so this is an honor to be here and to continue what feels like our daily conversations. Like when Anika is in the room, just know that you're not having surface conversations. We ain't talking about the weather. We're not talking about the latest sports team, no shade to, sports fans. Anika's going to bring it, and you gotta hold on to your hat, because energy is going to shift, and it's always a good time. It is always a good time. And so this book is very exciting to me, because I know that there's going to be some confronting issues and moments that come up, as your readers, as we are digesting the information. But because it always, always, always comes from such a special place in you, your heart leads. And I think that that's why it is so, I was about to say easy. Easy isn't the word. I was about to say it's so easy to receive your words. Easy isn't necessarily the word, but they're comforting even when they're confronting. And so I'm excited to have this conversation with you. Thank you.
Yeah, we know that God does not always give us the soft things, right, to navigate. It's like, oh, so you ready for the answer? And it comes, and you're like, oh, what do I do with that now? Sit with God. Like, yes, so true. And I feel like reinvention is like the buzz in this moment. There are different things that I would connect to it. The word resurrection came up over the weekend in a room that we were in together, and I feel like that's the energy that's bubbling for us, to see ourselves in a way that is different. One of the things that we talk about in the book and that I've shared with you is this: how healing doesn't just happen in one portion of who we are. And so I'd love for you to share a little bit about that, especially given your background. So would you just tell us a little bit about how it's all connected?
One of the things that I think is so beautiful that you do effortlessly is bringing our awareness to how layered that healing is, and how interconnected our physical body, our spiritual body, our emotional body is, that we cannot separate them. They are not differentiated in our lives. And we enter into any room with all of those aspects in every conversation. And one of the things that I am very present to right now in my own life is how, when I show up, these different aspects of me also show up.
Indeed.
And the things that we carry which is why your book is so timely. And the title, Healing is Required, because I believe it is our responsibility to own our own healing. I believe that it is our responsibility not to put off and project onto other people our own issues, challenges, traumas, that we can be in a shared space. We can support one another. But I think that it is irresponsible to just dump your shit on other people. I think that the most loving, kind thing that we can do for anyone is to heal ourselves so that we can show up. My core belief is the world has nothing for us, but we have everything for the world. And so when you think about your gifts and the blessings that you have, how are you going to give them if you are all confronted yourself, if you are just in your own shell because you've got all of these layers? Then you cannot be free to do the work. And in my former life as a chiropractor, what I saw so often was people would come in and there would be a percentage of the population that I would feel like just banging my head like against the wall, like it's not, what is it that's not moving for them? Why are they not getting better? Their symptomology is unchanging, even though the x-rays are better, the diagnostics are better, the tests are coming up improved, but they're not feeling it. And what I really came to appreciate is this understanding that we are physical, we are emotional bodies, and what we are carrying are all of these emotions and these layers, and our body stores them. And I think that it's becoming more common knowledge, but I don't think that people apply it enough, right? Like the traumas that you have experienced in your life, whether or not that, if we wanted to grade it, how traumatic it was, like on the scale, if you believe, if you hold the belief that it was traumatic, if you have the emotionality around it, your body has held onto it. And so, yes, you can go and seek out modalities of therapy, and you should. And you also have to take responsibility, because there are things that you are holding on to that no amount of acupuncture, no amount of supplements, no amount of chiropractic adjustments are going to remove those layers until you get very serious about your own healing. And I am excited to really delve into your book, because I know that you address this, and I know that what you're holding up for all of us is a mirror that gently asks us the question, are you ready? Because it is required and it is time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. You are spot on. In my own healing journey, God took me through, first of all, framing that, that we have a physical body, an emotional body, a spiritual body, and psychological body. And all of those parts, they're all in the physicalness that you see in front of you, and they work together. And I love you have shared a story a couple times where you talk about you being in the room when you were running your practice, and then wanting to just talk to the person more and give them a hug and help them get into those other parts of it, and them not realizing that it's all connected. And there's a portion of the book where we talk about each of those bodies in different ways that you can tap into that work. The other thing that is really, really big, that I see, I think has applications for all areas of our life, is the way that God spoke to me about the ownership and accountability for your healing. And, I think as we think about assembling the team and the practices, like coming up with a strategy. If you think about as a business owner, right? We have our strategy. We're looking at all of the different pieces that have to come together in order for us to successfully run a business. Yet when we look at our life, we're like, well, I go to work or I show up this way. We're not looking at all of the different ways that things are connected. You know, if I go out on a walk today and I'm eating well and I spend time in meditation and I spend time in prayer, I am likely creating the foundation to have a really great day. If I'm doing the healing work emotionally and I'm going to see my favorite chiropractor and, like we can experience the depth of healing in a way that feels so different. How does someone make the decision about what things they need to shift in order to embrace reinvention?
I want to highlight what you said about having multiple people. I like to call them your board of advisors, right? Like we all need support. We are not an island. We live in a country that here in the US, for anybody who's watching it outside of, right? We live in this country that celebrates isolation and independence. And what I think that instead that it is bred is loneliness and isolation and this feeling that you have to do it all, be it all, and do it now and yesterday and forever in the future. And the truth is that you really do need a support team, each and every one of us. And so identifying people who can fit the roles that you require for support. And I think that sometimes it feels a little overwhelming, like, oh gosh, if I want to heal and I want to keep healing, that means that I have to do all of these things. And if I don't wake up at 4 a.m. and meditate for 3 hours and then, go on to spend an hour sitting with my therapist and then go to my chiropractor and, oh, wait, I still got to make time to go outside and get in nature. And, oh, wait, I still need, 8 hours of sleep. But wait, I still got to work 12 hours, right? Like, it feels overwhelming. And I think that wherever you are, however you can, start small, because the only way that you're going to shift is consistency. And so if you take on 72 hours worth of things for your mere 24 hours, you are setting yourself up for failure.
Yes.
And we don't need any more of that. The world already tells us enough. Like we're barely out of bed and we feel like we're already behind, right? Like we're not enough for whatever the scenario is.
Sure.
But I believe that there are micro improvements that if you're consistent with, that moves the needle.
Mm-hmm.
If we all were desirous of these big, huge shifts, then yeah, I guess that we all could, but that's not real life, right? Like that's what you see on social media. Like that's the pretend stuff. That's the highlight reel, the fast forwarded clips, right? To fit into this, 60-second soundbite that somehow we're supposed to believe that actually captures, the legitimacy of somebody's life, and that's not real life. And so for me, I will speak for me, what I have really started to come back to is this idea of just micro improvements. And there have been plenty of books that have been, written and plenty of studies that, have really explored this idea of what are the micro improvements micro habits that you could put in place that would make the improvements, because over time, we're all going to see, big improvements. But first, how do we just get started, and how do we not feel overwhelmed, and how can we lean on people that not only hold us accountable, but hold us up in moments where I don't wanna, right? Like Dr. C is like, sometimes, or no, it was your mom that was like, sometimes I don't wanna do it. And maybe in that moment, like, yeah, that seems like a lot to do all of it, but maybe you could just do like one thing.
Yeah. Yes. And it's so aligned with what is in the book. Like we have different seasons of our lives, right? There are times when, to your point earlier, some people listening might be like, oh, I can do like, five of the seven things you named. Like I have space for that. And other people are like, no, like I don't. And that's okay. The point is to identify and how I talk about it in the book is like what feels compelling to you. Like it was important for me to put a list of practices around how you could support each body for people to see like, oh, meditation can help me physically, emotionally, spiritually. Like it can help me across the board. Like maybe that's the one thing, if I can only do one thing, that will help me open up to, to experience more healing. And one of our earlier speakers shared that meditation is the healing practice for them that changed everything, right? It's choosing what feels inviting for you. A lot of times I think we think about healing and even the process of reinvention as loss. I know for myself, it's transitioning out of corporate and I know because I know you and we've talked about like the transition out of your business into this new business that there's so many times that we find ourselves attached to who we were, who we thought we were, who we said we were, the title and the way we show up in the world, but that's actually not us, right? We were showing up in a way that we were conditioned to, which is not really the authentic person. And so the invitation of healing is something that we get to reframe for ourselves. And then it becomes more compelling to want to do the work. I can promise that it has been my experience that as I allow myself to push through the parts that are really hard, when I get to the other side, I'm grateful. And over time, that when the next wave of the thing, like one of the core things that I've navigated is this external validation, being a people pleaser, and that's connected to perfectionism, right? And as I've navigated that across, my journey, I'm like, oh, it's here again. Like I thought I got rid of this thing, but there have been layers of it. And as the layers have come up, I have felt more equipped to navigate it to a point where, quite honestly, sometimes I'm like, bring it on, God, because I'm tired of seeing this show up and I want it to be different. And I recognize that I have to interrogate the things that are going on inside of me to do that. I love that you have made such a beautiful commitment to help people reinvent themselves. It is not lost on me that it is 11:11 and it is 1:11 here Eastern time, 1:11. And I just saw my bestie in the chat who has been capturing, along with a few others of us, the meanings for these different numbers. And 1:11 is remember who you are. And so as I sit here, we all have the opportunity to experience this incredible reinvention coach who I am blessed to call my sister, dear friend, collaborator, all of these things. She has an incredible program that launches tonight. So tell us a little bit about Reinvention with Intention. I'm going to drop the link in the chat too for anyone if there are still spaces. I know that you are getting started this evening, but share a little bit about it, and I will and I'll drop it out there for everyone.
I appreciate that. And before I say more about it, I want to just sort of frame for people this idea about reinvention. Oftentimes we think that reinvention must mean starting from scratch, like burning it all down and starting anew. But what reinvention truly is remembering who it is that you are before the world told you who you ought to be, what you should be, how you should behave, what career choices should you make, how should you be a mom or a dad and a wife or a husband, right? Like, who is it that you are behind all of those things and underneath? And how can we just reveal that? How can we get back to the center of who it is that you are? And sometimes we do need to separate ourselves from our titles. We need to identify who it is that we are beyond the labels, and even the labels that we have put on ourselves. Because sometimes I would argue that most times labels and titles are limiting, right? They put you in boxes and they do not allow you to be the fullness of yourself. So if I'm a doctor, that means that I can't be creative. If I'm a scientist and I use my left side of my brain, I can't be an artist too. If I want a career, that means that I can't be a mom, or this idea of like, oh, you can have it all, but you can't have it all right now. Well, I don't believe that. I believe that we live in a world that we have entered the game already in progress. We did not define the rules of this board game. We did not create them. And so we don't have to play by the same scarcity, live in the box container that is not our reality, that somebody else's. And so when you think about how do you reinvent, how do you remember who it is that you are? How do you reconnect with the things that you truly desire and that light you up? And if for whatever reason, in the madness of the current situation here in the US, that maybe you've lost a job or you've lost your way, either way, how do you get reconnected to what it is that's really calling you? Because if the world has nothing for you and you have everything for the world, but you're buried underneath titles or obligations or things that the world has told you that you ought to be focused on, how about if we dial all that back and we spend 90 minutes, 2 sessions, 90 minutes together in a collective sisterhood that not only reminds you of who it is that you are, but what's beckoning you forward, and then leave with a game plan so you can go be about that, because your life is still calling, your life is still beckoning. And if you're standing on the sidelines of your own life, knowing that the rest of us are waiting on your gifts, no, ma'am. That is not the day that we are in. That is somebody else's board game. That's not ours. I'm not calling that. I'm not accepting that. And I no longer will stand by and watch another sister say, oh, well, it's too late for me. No, ma'am. At 54, I reinvented myself again. And I can't be more excited to be in this space, doing this work and supporting and holding up women who are also like, me too, me too. So I say, let's go. Click on the link and tell some friends about it. And let's do this work together.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So beautifully said. I mean, I feel like the chat's like she preaching right now, right? Listen, for everyone who is listening to this, clearly you felt the power, the conviction that was coming through Dr. Naima. And I would tell you, she is so fully equipped to take you on the journey that she just described, because not only is it her work to do, is she gifted and anointed to do this work, but it also has been her journey. And there is something so incredible in this moment. You think about, there's a lot of talk right now about people who've lost their jobs and are in times of transition. And I, have the opportunity to work with a lot of people leading businesses, organizations who are like, oh, Anika, I'm here, right? And like, but is this it? And, it's never too late to reinvent yourself, never too late. But what you do have to do is make a decision that you deserve to have the life of your dreams. And what I love is that God has been doing incredible work to bring us into our positions. And I say us, the people who are called for this kind of work around the world with unique voices, skill sets, experiences. So there's always someone who speaks exactly to what you need. I had the opportunity to witness you a couple of weeks ago at an event here in Atlanta. And I was reflecting back to Dr. Naima. I was like, did you see what you did? Like, the way people lit up as she was pouring into them, it was just so beautiful. And I think that anybody is blessed to be able to be in this space with you, to receive that which God has given you, to gift to the world, and the wisdom that you have obtained through your journey, that you articulate in a way that only you can. So they have the link, and I'm hopeful that she might have a couple of spots left so that you guys can come. But please do share it with the people in your life. I can guarantee every one of us knows one or two people who is in a pivot moment in their life, and this is a great opportunity for them to, as Dr. Naima talked about, spend a couple of sessions to redefine what it is that they desire. So I'm so grateful, sis, to have you here. Before you go, I would love it if you would share the healing practice for you that changed everything. By the way, we didn't talk about the fact that she literally had one after the next things happening to her body physically, and then healed and decided to close her practice, and then moved and traveled around the world for an entire year. You talk about reinvention. I mean, your story is so beautiful. So I know you've learned a lot. Maybe you can share. You're our last guest for today, so if you want to share 2 practices, you can. But what's the healing practice that changed everything for you?
Okay, I can't skip over the fact that every one of y'all need an Anika in your life. My goodness. I mean, yes, of course, by the book, because then you can keep her with you at all times. The way that you make people feel, the way that you stand in the spaces and articulate and allow people to see themselves, not only the way that I think that you see us, but the way that God sees us, and the bigness and the fullness of who it is that we are is so beautiful when it comes through you. And I just want to say thank you, because it's meaningful that there is somebody who speaks into you, right? That just loves you so much, that is willing to remind you, right? And just the way that you do that is so heartfelt, and it feels so good. So thank you for that. I could not skip over that. Like, and you do that for everyone in your life. I watch and observe you, and I watch how people just light up because it feels so good. And so thank you for that. The one thing that I will say is getting very quiet myself when I took myself on the solo travel, 13 countries, 15 months. One of the things that I thought that I would be really discombobulated by was the soloness. Turns out I really like me. Turns out I enjoy my company. And I wasn't aware. I really wasn't, right? I've never lived alone, from, my growing up family to college roommates to married to with children to divorced to with children. And it was the first time of, me being by myself. And so my micro practice started then, when I would take myself on walks. And I had been walking before, always enjoyed nature, always loved being, outside, but really, really getting into my mind, not just externally watching the beauty around me, but centering myself on me on those walks, and the intentionality behind it. And I just made sure that when I came back to this country, that I really, even though that this is home and it's familiar and we can get off of routine, like that's the thing that I make sure that daily, that I am intentional about centering myself while I am enjoying the thing that I love, which is being outside. And that really has been the consistent practice to reground and recenter me.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm so grateful for you, sis. Thank you for all of your words. And the genuineness of your appreciation. I'm so blessed to do this walk with you too. And thank you for putting an underscore, beautiful underscore on the power of this book. I am so grateful. I know you cannot wait. Dr. Naeem's like, give me my darn copy. Like, I need this copy. And I'm excited because the books are on their way. And so those of you that pre-ordered, you'll start to receive them hopefully by the end of this week, if not the beginning of next for sure. And then I also just want to share that, the book right now is available for exclusive launch week pricing. So if you are an ebook reader, you can grab it now for $1.99 to transform yourself. And you heard Dr. Naima talking about the experience. She said, you can't take me home with all of you. But truly, it's really about the work that God is doing through me for whomever is deciding to include this in their journey. Dr. Naima, I want to thank you so much for coming to spend time with me today. I love you. I'm so grateful for you and grateful for your sharing your stories. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Naima. Well, I hope you all have enjoyed this journey, our virtual launch party for Healing is Required. This book is so good. And I say that not only being the scribe, but because I have experienced the power of God healing me through this. So my healing journey in writing this book, a lot of people have asked, like, did you heal first and then write the book? Did you write the book and it healed you? Both happened. I was in my healing journey and thought I was at a pretty darn good place, by the way. And then God began working through me as I went through the book. And what I know about this book is that this is not a one and done. This will not be something that you put on, on your bookshelf or download into your Kindle and never go back to again. It is a resource. The book is designed to be that for you. If you are like me, I actually do read in the Bible regularly, and for the past several years, there's a particular month, and God always has me reading the book of John. And every single time I see something different, I see a different, there's a different way that I relate a parable to what's happening in my life or what's happening in the world. So there's always some shifts that are happening. That is also what Healing is Required is like. You will have some moments, particularly as you think about, the accountability that you have for your healing journey, will you want to come back to that again? I know that the section about the central soul, which is a concept, this is the first time I'm actually naming it out loud for you all, but that is what God calls our connectivity to each other. So as we get ready to depart from this, I want to share an excerpt and we'll talk about how to stay connected. Actually, let me do the connection first. So you've got the exclusive launch week pricing for your ebook at $1.99. You can order Healing is Required on our website or on Amazon.com. And then as a part of a thank you for participating today, Tasha has dropped a link in the chat. She'll drop it again, and you can sign up, and I will be sharing out with you a beautiful guided meditation that God downloaded specifically for this moment, as well as a recap of all of the healing practices that changed everything from all of our guests here as a gift to you. So make sure you grab that link in the chat, and then that will go out to you tomorrow. So you'll be able to use and include that guided imagery as one of your healing practices. So this concept about being the central soul, I think if I were to try and create some imagery for you, it would be imagining a nucleus or a cloud that we were all connected to. We actually are a part of one single soul that exists. That is a part of God's creation. And if you can imagine that, when part of the soul is feeling really good health and healing, then it's vibrant. In moments where people are operating in a way that's out of their integrity, out of alignment, where they're not operating or vibrating at their higher selves, as you've heard some of the guests today talk about. There's a leaning of that central soul in a way that shows up in the behaviors like what we see in the world today. When we do the work, you can imagine the scales of justice of this piece of kind of like balancing the efforts that we take on. The more that we do to heal ourselves, the more we tilt our scales in the direction of light and love, of peace and of joy, the things that we really desire, that is our innate desire to experience, because that is the resemblance of God. And so our work to heal is not just about what we do for ourselves and our experience. It's not just to impact our family. It's not just to help break the generational patterns and cycles. It's not just so that our immediate community feels differently or we operate different in our business. All of those things are true. But it is really about us being in community with one another. Many of us know who we are, what we're called to do, and we know, we expect to have this experience of, what can maybe be described as heaven on earth. That is available to us if we decide to operate in a way that brings more alignment in the world. And I know that we will, because God is always victorious. The question is how long it takes us to get there. But it also requires you to be committed to doing your work regardless as to whether or not other people are doing it in a way that you think they should. Sometimes we expect other people, like once we start to see something about ourselves and we are sharing it with other people, we expect them to immediately flip the switch and start doing that work themselves. That doesn't happen. What does happen is someone witnesses your commitment and your consistency to your healing journey, and that sparks their desire to do it as well. We heal together. We can do the work that inspires each other, that reminds each other of who we are, that reflects each other, so that we see truth, so that we see love, that we feel the safety to go and do the deep work to explore who we are. When you have the opportunity to get your copy of the book and you see the dedication, you'll understand the impact of so many people who have created safe spaces and allowed me to see myself. They have been reflections of God's love and light to me, offering grace, as we talked about earlier today. They have been people who challenged me and called me back to the truth of who I am. They've been people who reminded me of what is most important in my relationship with God. I will share the excerpt, but I want to say to you, if I gave you the healing practice that changed everything for me, it was prayer. And I meditate. I do a lot of the things that we talk about in the book, and I won't take all the time to share that now, but I will say this. What has happened for me is that the way I learned to pray as a child is very different than how I pray today. The prayer that I speak of in this moment is about an ongoing, never ceasing conversation that I have with God. I call God my not so silent partner. So when I'm here in my office, I'm like, okay, God, what's on the agenda today? What's on the docket? And it's work for me to remember to ask God first before I get busy doing, because I am and have been that person. And part of the relationship with prayer that has been transformative for me is to remember that I am never disconnected from God. So prayer is truly an ongoing conversation. Now, there are points where we might start a very specific prayer, and there are very specific things that I pray all of the time. There are prayers in the Bible that I refer to all the time. There are all different ways that prayer manifests, but I think the most important thing I would want you to know is it is about having a relationship with God that is so consistent, that is so, that reminds me that I am safe to yield and to trust and to be who it is that I have been created to be. That has changed everything for me. The relationship that I have with God is, I can't even imagine my life without it being where it is. And every day it continues to grow stronger and stronger. And in that, I would tell you that I see myself in a way that I never imagined. That has been healing to me. One of the things that was so deep in my journey, I mentioned earlier this, the people-pleasing aspect. And I wrestled with my identity, like who God says that I am. And through my healing, I have been able to embrace the truth of what I know I am here to do and who I am. And it has only been for the relationship with God and the journey that they have taken me through healing that you get to read this book. So I cannot underscore having the relationship with the divine in the way that you define it. You will also see in the book that I talk a lot. There's a whole section up front about how we will agree to move through this book with an understanding of God. And for many people, that might rub them the wrong way, and that's okay. Because when things are, when we wrestle with things, the intention is for us to take it back to God and have a beautiful conversation that opens up the doorway for us to understand even more of what God desires us to know about who they are. The expansiveness of God is something that we will try our best to articulate, but it is best understood in your relationship with God as God reveals it to you. So I'm going to read an excerpt to you. And it says, if we simply consider connectivity a byproduct of love and relationships, we miss the conscientious behavior of making considerate footprints on the earth. This means that what each of us chooses to do directly impacts the others. Let's consider a few examples of how people have a collective impact. COVID-19 was not simply a pandemic, although it fully satisfies the formal definition. The economic and social impact reach epic proportions. If we consider the social impact alone, countries experience significant economic shifts, psychosocial impacts, public policy, and the needs for new laws and healthcare needs. The decisions of the individuals were scrutinized as vaccination decisions were made. In some countries, vaccination was required. Proof of vaccination became a requirement for travel to many countries to protect their citizens and economy. In social circles, neighbors and families experience divides over vaccination decisions. The complex decisions around whether or not to vaccinate open the doors to judgment for many people. Regardless of whether a group decided to vaccinate or not, there was a level of being ostracized for those who chose the opposite action. The interconnectivity of people and their decisions was on full display because we are the central soul. Looking further, we can see that the risks were not simply at the level of love and belonging in Maslow's hierarchy. The risks to the physiological level were impacted by people. Consider the impact of the supply chain during the pandemic. Different choices of public health policies impacted import and export. There were food shortages and access issues. Decisions about health guidelines varied by country, so the preparation and production of food were at risk. Many food production plants faced shutdowns amidst a high occurrence of positive COVID-19 diagnoses. While there are many factors to consider, it is safe to identify choices around vaccination, social behavior, living conditions, quarantining, etc., and work environment as contributors to the spread of COVID-19 in those working populations. What was witnessed as a result were impacts to Maslow's defined safety needs: health, emotional security, financial security, personal security, and risks to the physiological needs: air, water, and food. The pandemic impacted all of those foundational levels of the hierarchy through people's behavioral choices. Our role in reviewing this example is not about identifying a right or wrong in the choices made as the world navigated the pandemic. Instead, there's an opportunity to gain a deeper understanding of the impact of individual choices on the collective. If one acts as if their decisions are entirely unilateral, having no potential impact on the lives of others, the collective will suffer. Our central soul calls out for more conscientious decision-making. The group dynamics evident here are significant proof that decisions impact the soul of who we are. I thank you so much for joining me today to launch my book, Healing is Required. This is just one of the many ways that we are being shown truth. We are being shown wisdom and enjoying the experience of coming back home to ourselves, the heart of healing. I want you to know as we leave this broadcast that you are fully capable of navigating whatever healing challenge is in front of you. And you were equipped with it. You always have been. and it is a choice to decide to do the work. I hope you will choose wisely because you are absolutely worth it. My name is Anika Apple, trusted advisor, spiritual strategist, author of the book Healing is Required. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for your investment in your own healing journey. I'd love to hear how the book impacts you. And so please feel free to reach out to us at connect@anikaapple.com. You can also visit my website to learn more about the work that I do at anikaapple.com. And of course, here we have in the chat and on screen the ways that you can order Healing is Required, which is now available. So thank you, everyone. And I wish you peace and blessings and look forward to seeing you again.